ladies and gentlemen. Today we are covering more of the book of Acts. We have our good friend Ron with us today again, and we're moving on from chapter 5, verse 11 into verse 12, wherein the separation of the husband and wife who had offered a strange offering.
Yes.
And we talked about those strange offerings. You know, and there was something else just real briefly that I wanted to bring up and throw out into that last equation that we were looking at here with Ananias and Sapphira. And that is that if you look on your headings in there, you'll probably see the purging from within.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes next to the purging from without.
Correct.
So that reminded me of some other scriptures in the New Testament and also in the Old, which show that the judgment of God always begins with God's own people. That he cleans up his own house first and then goes out and cleans up the other stuff. It's like whenever evil is getting out of control or men are evil and God decides that he needs to intervene and step up and kind of bring this down a notch or two, he always starts with his own people.
Mm-hmm.
He always starts in his own house, cleaning up his own house first. And that's the same principle that Christ was talking about when he said, pluck the beam out of your own eye so that you can see to pull the speck out of your brother's eye. And God is saying, I abide by that as well. I'm going to clean up my own house before I move outside to clean up other stuff. And so we see that literally here, that he's cleaning up his own house and removing the rebels, the liars, the cheats, you know. He's removing those people from his own house so that his house is clean and straight up, so that when he judges around the outside, nobody can say he's a righteous judge. Nobody can say to him, well, what are you punishing us? But your own people are right. Evil and doing wrong.
Not acting as a hypocrite.
Them. Yeah, he would be a hypocrite if he didn't do that. So he's taking care of his own people first. That's a good point to bring up there. Now, let's move on to chapter 5, verse 12. And it says that after these things there was a great awe in the assembly and among all those who heard, and by the hand of the emissaries, or the apostles, many signs and mighty deeds occurred among the people, and they were all assembled together in the porch of Shlomo. That's funny, Solomon's name is actually Shlomo.
That is kind of...
Solomon, yeah. And of the other men, no man dared to draw near to them, but the people magnified them, and the people held them in high regard. So they're afraid of them. Apparently, these guys do miracles, and people drop dead at their feet if you piss them off. Right. I think they're probably thinking that. We're not going near these guys. And more were added who had faith in Yehovah, an assembly of men and women, so that they brought out the sick into the streets while lying on their pallets, that when Shimon Kepha, Peter, would come by, at least his shadow might fall on them. So they're getting a little superstitious here, and which is that's just going to happen, you know. Mm-hmm. They're getting to the point where they're thinking that there's something really special about these guys, and they got to keep reminding people whenever they're talking. They say, "What are you looking at us for?"
Right.
It's not by our power that we're doing this. The God's power is upon us. And no, I don't believe there doesn't seem to be any indication here that many were healed just from having Peter's shadow fall on them.
Right.
But it indicates that they were wanting that power and willing to take it however they could get it, and getting a little superstitious about it. Oh man, if I could have a piece of Peter's hair, it might heal somebody.
Right.
It's kind of going into iconography.
Right.
The beginning of the established church. But and many came to them from other cities that were around Jerusalem, while bringing the sick and those who had unclean spirits. All of them were healed. Now here's something also that I wanted to bring up, and I just realized this last night. and it had to do about these people who are demon possessed, or however you want to say that.
Mm-hmm.
They had unclean spirits. You know, I was reviewing in my brain and also reviewing in the Old Testament. I don't have any examples in the Old Testament at all of a man being possessed by a demon. A man having an unclean spirit. It's never been. I've never seen that anywhere. The only time I saw something similar to that was in the very first king of Israel, Saul, who was replaced by David. It says that he had an evil spirit was sent from God to torment him because he was doing evil, and whenever this spirit would come upon him, he would kind of lose his marbles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he'd get really agitated and anxious or something. It would affect him. And David would play the harp, and that would cause the evil spirit to leave. But it doesn't say that the evil spirit was like in King Saul. It just came and troubled him. But now when Yeshua shows up on the scene, where did all these demon-infested people come from? Where's that? What's going on here? And you know, I've never heard anybody even comment on that. And why it is all of a sudden that there are demons living in people at the time of Yeshua, there's no mention of that ever in the Old Testament.
Right.
Why is it that demons are infesting people at this time? I don't have an answer for that, but I'm looking into it, and I might share that with you as I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I have a sinking suspicion that it has something to do with the Nephilim, those demons who cohabited with women.
Right.
I may be wrong, but something is going on here.
Right.
Because this is an unusual thing. I mean, we don't see demons infesting people today, as far as I know.
Right.
I mean, there's some mad, crazy dudes out there that they probably are demon infested.
Yeah.
It just was strange to me that you have people who are have unclean spirits, and you didn't see that in the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering, why is that? Where did these demon infested people come from? Why is it that all of a sudden during this time people are being infested by demons?
Mm-hmm.
Are they worshiping in some way that is opening up themselves to demons?
Right.
I don't know what changed.
Right.
That's something that I'm going to have to look into, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that that's a rather unusual thing, although we think of it as nothing.
Well, and even so, wasn't that the great flood, the reason was to cleanse, to get rid of all of the demon children.
Yes.
So,
but you know, when it says that it says the Nephilim were in those days and after.
Oh, it does say and after.
It says and after. So I don't know if did the demons go from sleeping with women and having mutant children to did they mix DNA and create something that became more common, and that you have like demon infested men,
right? Because
the originals were infested with demons. Does that mean that all of our DNA is jacked and infested with some demon DNA?
Yeah.
Good Lord, I have no idea.
That's a whole other topic.
It absolutely is, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I saw that when I was reading. I was like, what? Where did it just occurred to me? When did that happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why are we talking about it now?
Yeah. So, it was then that the chief Cohen, the chief priest, a Cohen is a priest, the chief Cohen and all who were with him who were of the teaching of the Siddukim, which is the Pharisees, were filled with envy, naturally so. They see the power of God is being poured out on, that would be very similar, I suppose, to, let's say that all of a sudden the Mormons had a great outpouring of God's Spirit, and they were doing miracles, and you could tell that the Spirit of God was falling on the Mormons, and the Christians are like,